So we're going to look in your iReady reading workbook from page 66 to 73. These pages should already be done. So if you have not already completed these pages, you need to stop the video and go complete the pages and then watch the video. This is a way for you to check yourself to see if you're understanding the concepts or not. So we took notes last week on cause and effect. An effect is what happened and a cause is why it happened. So the texts that you read today were all historical texts, and it all had to do with trade. So the effect in the first paragraph they gave us, the effect in the first passage that they gave us, was Europeans traveled to Africa and traded with Africans. So we need to come up with 3 causes as to why this happened, and they were all in the paragraph on page 66. So travelers told stories of wealthy African kingdoms. Because they're having all this wealth in Africa and other people are hearing about it, they're like, we should travel to Africa. Europeans improved their ships so that they could go on long voyages. You know, it was hard to go on long voyages, and every time they improved the ship, it made the voyage easier. So that's another reason they traveled to Africa. And finally, Portuguese sailors set up trading posts on African coast. So since the Portuguese already had trading posts set up there, they were going to travel there so that they could travel their goods. All right, now we're going to go on to page 68, We're doing something very similar. It's still talking about trading in the Sahara. The effect this time was the West African settlements became important centers of trade. So we want to come up with 3 reasons why it was an important center for trade. And it all came from the text on page 68. So Berber merchants set up trade routes using camels and caravans. Berber and African merchants made profits, so trade centers grew. And the profits led to even more trading. So they set up the trades, they made profits for the trades, and so their trading and their profits are growing. That's all reasons why the African settlement became important centers of trade. They're becoming wealthy, so trade increases, they're going to become more wealthy. All of those factors lead to important centers of trade. You're going to use your graphic organizer to answer the question on page 72. So we're going to turn and look on page 72. And it says, what led to African settlements becoming important centers of trade? Support your answer with details from the text. So it was an important center of trade because they're making money at it. And that's, money makes the world go round. So they wanted to continue to make money, so they continued to trade there. Now, you can write it in your own words. I am going to share with you the textbook answer. Several causes led to settlements in West Africa becoming important centers of trade. One center was that Berber merchants set up trade routes in the Sahara using camels and caravans. A second cause was that both Berber and African merchants made profits from their trade, so the trade centers grew. A third cause was that the profits made by Berber and African merchants led to even more trade. The result of these 3 causes working together was that African settlements became important centers of trade. It's taking what you put in that graphic organizer and formatting it in paragraph. We have one more story to go over, which was an eyewitness account, still about trade. This page I found to be a little bit easier, I thought. So we had 3 causes and we had 3 effects. And you had to put an X in the box if the cause listed made this effect happen. And it did say that you could put X's in more than one spot in the directions. So Berber merchants set up trade routes with Europe. What happened because of that? Well, Timbuktu merchants became rich, and salt was imported from 500 miles away. Grain and animals were plentiful, but salt was not. Well, if the grain and animals are plentiful and the salt's not, what is that going to cause to happen? It's going to cause the same thing to happen. If the salt's not plentiful, well, guess what? We're going to have to import it from miles away. And if the grain and animals are plentiful, well, we're going to become rich because we have grains and animals to sell. Finally, the king respected education and learning. What's going to happen because he respected education and learning? There's going to be many judges, teachers, and priests. He respects it, and so more people are going to go get an education and become more than just servants. Alright, now we're going to use this information in our graphic organizer and use information from the text to answer the question on page 73. So it asked you what happened and why that event happened. So what happened was Timbuktu becoming the center of trade and learning. Why did it become the center of trade and learning? Well, they had those trade routes established, and the king thought education was very important. And then you're going to take that information that you filled in that graphic organizer, and you're going to take it and write it in paragraph form. I'm going to show you the textbook answer. Yours can be different, but I'm just going to show you what they have. There's a couple of causes for why Timbuktu became a center of culture and learning. The first cause was that the king of Timbuktu greatly honored learning. As a result, he appointed many judges, teachers, and priests who were all loved in Timbuktu's culture and learning. A second cause was that the trade in books imported from Barbary was more profitable than all the other forms of commerce. Because the trade in books was profitable, many books came to Timbuktu, and books were an important part of culture and learning. As a result of these two causes, Timbuktu became an important center of culture and learning. So it starts with the main idea. It becomes an important center of culture and learning. It gives several reasons and text-based evidence why it's a center of culture and learning, and then it restates the main idea again, or the topic sentence again. It's an important center of culture and learning. So these activities are important. Some of you have been skipping these writing paragraphs. You don't need to skip them. It's teaching you how to write a paragraph. And writing is an important skill in language arts.